You know what really kind of ticks me off as well? It's like we are in an age where people are doing all these IRL streams, and like obviously they're not perfect. Like you see the bitrate cut in and out, but like what? No, undo that. Sorry for the yelling. I did something I really didn't mean to do. But how can you? How can people be like literally on the streets of all these cities? Some people be in the middle of nowhere in the forest and they be recording, and it can stay stable. But the minute we try to go live,
You got what's that thing? Starlink?
I guess so. Okay, give us some minutes. Let me grab this link. Cam Newton really is like recording every day or live streaming every day. Good for him. Okay, Ghost, you still with us? How's the audio sounding?
It's all right.
Yeah, sounds not too bad for the time being. Ghost, sorry, Ace. How about your audio? How are you sounding?
Did I just drop?
No, no one
It
dropped.
will. Okay. How do I sound?
Pretty
Check,
good.
check.
And then what
Cool,
about
cool.
myself? Is the audio clear? Is the audio at a suitable volume?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, that being said, let's just kind of go through the motions. Let's just not do anything too crazy. And just kind of get through the topics and we'll be straight. Okay, so then I'm going to start recording in 3, 2. Okay. So then I'll come here. All right. Well, it's gonna be as good as it's gonna get. Just hope it holds together. All right. I'm quick. All right. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back, everyone, to the Be Warmed and Be Filled podcast. We're back. We're back. And we have not everyone here, but we have most of the guys, the brothers, the crew, the family. We got Ace.
What's up?
We got Ghost.
Yo.
And we have myself, QuestLando. Guys, how y'all doing? How y'all feeling tonight?
Pretty good.
Uh,
Say the line.
I was actually gonna switch it up and say I'm nervous that my Wi-Fi is gonna crap out, but outside of that, decent.
Uh, and myself, I can't complain too much. Obviously, by the looks of it, we are dealing with the good old fashioned technical difficulties that you can expect from a freaking grassroots shanty ass podcast. But we're still here, and we're still gonna try to put out content, and we're just gonna do it live. And as long as you're breathing and you got roof over your heads and all the other amenities in life, what's there to really complain about? So before we get into the actual podcast topic stuff, just some brief podcast intro stuff. Obviously, thank you to listeners first and foremost, and I'm sure if you listen to our podcast, you also greatly appreciate listening to music. And you can come here and find out. You can find new music. We provide it all. In the description below, you can find a link to a Spotify playlist with our song selections of the week, songs that we would personally come out here and recommend to other people, and we think that you would enjoy, and just spreading awareness of some artists and their new music. Also, after we edit the podcast, we also provide timestamps for the respective topics below. So if you just want to zoom around the video, find the respective topics, we provide timestamps. And if you prefer even just shorter forms of content, I implore everyone to go to our channel, go under the videos tab, and you'll be able to find all of our topics sliced down into smaller videos if you want to consume that. And we've been really on it these days. We're almost at the point where we can say we post videos every day, bro. It's every day, bro. But yeah, and some of those videos actually been getting a little traction, and salute to everybody that takes time out there, consumes it, comments. Everything is super appreciated at our level. But yeah, I think that's it generally. So before we get into the topics, does anyone have any content recommendations that they want to come on here and share outside of music, of course?
I don't have a rec, but I just remembered I do have a warm review for a concert
Nice.
I went to last week.
Oh, nice. Who'd you see?
So I went to see Dive, who was headlining in Boston last week, and had two openers, Full Body 2 and Horse Jumper of Love. Dive is a shoegaze band, as were the other bands for the most part, shoegaze / indie rock. And yeah, Full Body 2 was the first opener. I was kind of familiar with both bands. Full Body 2 I listened to just because I knew they were going to be playing, and then Horse Jumper of Love I'd known beforehand. But yeah, they were both pretty damn good. Full Body 2 was like almost pure shoegaze, a la My Bloody Valentine. They had like some really interesting synths going in the background for most of their songs, which don't really work as well in the recordings for me, but live they worked pretty great. I think just because it's not as overwhelming when you hear it live. And then Horse Jumper of Love, they were more like indie rock, but they definitely had a few great songs that they played, as well as just some more mellow ones. And then yeah, Dive, I've seen them. I think I saw them in 2019, so this is my second time seeing them. But they absolutely killed it, like just exactly. I mean, just as well as they did before, they killed it again. Like their sound is just so heavy live. Like even the songs that sound more mellow on the albums, they just bring so much energy when they play them live. The guitarists are amazing, even though they're not doing like the craziest solos. Just their technical ability, you can tell, is really there. Drummer's great, the bassist is great, just has a ton of energy. Like they're great to see live. Great performance live, and they have a lot of good tracks that they can play. That just because they have a pretty extensive discography at this point. So just a lot of great tracks that they can play that will get the crowd hype. So yeah, great concert overall. Just another one where I'm like, damn, why couldn't this be one of the ones where Ghost or Quest could have made it? But yeah.
Yeah, my bad. I had other family obligations that day, I believe. What venue was it at?
This was at the Royale, which I've been to probably 3 times now.
Got you. So okay. And you said two. Oh, you said two openers? Or that's not like a long ass show.
It started at 8 and it ended at 11:30. Dive played like an hour and a half set.
Damn. Okay, dope. All the same, if it's good content, good music. That's Dive with like 2 eyes, right? Or
Hmm?
something like that. Don't they have like 2 eyes in their name or something like that?
Oh yeah. Dive with 2 eyes. Yeah,
Yeah.
Diiv.
Yeah. Just wanted to make sure get everything correct. Okay, dope. Nice. We like coming out here and giving one reviews for some of the outings and things we consumed recently. I like that. Nice. Anything else?
For me,
Nothing from me either.
Okay, fair enough. I think it's actually a better idea if we get it on right with the content and not delay. This thing might break apart any second. Okay, so let me go here. We're not starting soon. Put that away. Fix this so it's like this. And then go right here. Hopefully this looks appropriate. Yeah, that looks good. Nice. Okay. Sorry, let me just check that. I was just checking something. Okay, so first, and I guess I'll just give disclaimer since this is the actual beyond the videos. We're dealing with some technical difficulties, so if things start crashing or looking a little crazy, fair warning. But super appreciate anyone that does watch the vid. And for this particular topic, man, this is something that I really been thinking about recently, and it's not just my own imagination. Salute to who's by? Oh yeah, this is by MSN.com. Should you tip on restaurant takeout or coffee order? Here's when it's okay to decline. So, the thing that I was thinking about recently is not super recently, but just in recent times. It seems like a lot more places are asking for tips than before. Like, maybe I thought I was thinking before. It used to be just like, obviously, when you go to a sit down restaurant, they always ask. And then I feel as if it was just like, what restaurants were tipping before? Or how always tipping? It was like Hot Table and then like small local mom and pop stores. And Hot Table, for those who may not know, is it's basically a panini shop. But now these days you can go no matter where you go to Five Guys, Panera, Subway. I'm not sure what other fast food chain restaurants. Everywhere you go, basically they give you an option to tip. And I don't know if people in general are more or I don't want to make myself seem like I'm generous. I always tip. No matter where I go, I just tip because I don't know, my brain, we're all just trying to earn dollar out here. So if I'm ordering from this establishment, I might as well give them a tip. But apparently, according to this article, some places, some even like retail shops, like imagine you you go to just a clothing store. Imagine you go to your Zoomies, your H&M, and they start asking you a tip. What are you gonna do? So we'll read a bit of this article. Honestly, it kind of sums it up. Just the dynamic these days that of this like tipping becoming more readily not readily available, like more of an option at all types of establishments before when it was just like when you're actually getting a dedicated service. But we'll read just a tad bit of it. Some people are experiencing. Dang, why does it look kind of crazy? Tipping fatigue, as more businesses request tips for more product and services, but customers are pushing back, even as some workers say they are relying on tips more than ever. Is it okay to simply not tip in some cases, even when you're asked to? Here's what the experts say. So yes, you may not know, but they're actually tipping experts. Tipping culture appears to be spreading everywhere you look, and some customers are sick of it, wondering when it's okay to simply not tip. After all, these days, when you're making a purchase at a coffee shop, convenience store, or even self-checkout kiosk, you might be prompted on the checkout screen for a tip. While some customers might be ignoring these prompts in a bout of tipping fatigue, others might just be wondering what the unspoken rule is these days. Their frustration is clear. Roughly 59% of U.S. adults have a negative view of tipping, a decrease from 66% in 2023. and more than three. Oh, sorry. More than 1 in 3 think tipping culture has gotten out of control, according to Bank Rate survey from June. So, as you can see, tipping is definitely in more places, but it's making people get a little aggy about it. Like, at a certain point, when is it okay not to tip? So yeah, this article definitely goes into all that. They literally do bring in experts. They bring in people that have that. I think there was one guy that was like a New York they were in New York and they're like an etiquette expert or something like that. And then there was somebody else that teaches like at a school. So yeah, definitely.
No,
This article,
sorry, time out for 1 second.
this article kind of goes in depth. What's up?
What the hell is an etiquette expert, bro? Like, people actually have a job like this? And they're being consulted for articles like this? That's crazy to me.
Yeah, what's the problem? You can be an expert in anything. I'm an expert in everything, so what's the problem?
You can be an expert and stuff, but that doesn't mean you're gonna get paid for it. Who's paying Mr. Manners for his expertise? That's what I want to know.
Well, if you have a question in etiquette, who are you gonna go to? Or you have a question in
Google.
etiquette?
Literally look up.
Where do you think Google gets
I
it?
don't.
Where do you think Google gets it from?
I don't know. From a multitude of sources, most certainly not just one person like Mr. Manners.
The name is definitely kind of wild, but yeah, those sources are sometimes done from like actual factual people. So it is what it is. Anyway, I think there's always a conversation loosely based around tipping etiquette, what people's respective views on it. But I guess in relation to the fact that in this day and age, it seems like tipping is everywhere. I just kind of curious to know what you guys' current thoughts on the matter. Do you kind of feel like it's gone out of hand? Are do you really not think about it? Are you inclined to stick with whatever the modern day culture is, which I believe is 20%, but I think that might be different from your respective location. It's your thoughts on tipping in general, I suppose. We'll start with you, Ace. What do you think?
Wait, am I muted or no?
No, you're definitely not muted.
Okay.
You sound even louder than before for some reason.
So my general thoughts on tipping are that I do it whenever prompted. And that's literally whenever.
No matter
So
no matter what store you go to, even if you just literally
Yep.
like got a cup of coffee.
Yep, a good example is this concert. They ask for tips when you buy merchandise. I always tip there.
Oh, they had
What?
something about that in this article. Scroll down. Dang, real life example. Did you write
Like
the
if
article?
you're buying a shirt, they
Yeah,
just
yeah,
Yeah,
ask for a tip on top of what?
yeah.
yeah,
Go down.
almost always.
Yeah, go down, go down. Yeah, yeah. Say you landed tickets. Why is the thing so choppy? I wonder if it's coming out choppy on YouTube. Check the YouTube real quick. Say you landed tickets to see the biggest concert of the year, and you want to buy $100 sweatshirt to commemorate the experience. You pay a visit to the stand selling concert merch, where the salesperson needs to pull down the sweatshirt you picked from the rack with a pole. When you go to checkout, the screen prompts you for a tip on the transaction. Customers who have never tipped before or never tipped for this type of transaction before might wonder if they should fork a few more dollars there. Farley, which is this specific person that's speaking on tipping, said that even in these types of scenarios, customers are not expected to tip. It's challenging to have a transaction, especially if somebody smiles and they're pleasant, and they provide a nice service, but there's still no obligation to do so. Because I'm assuming when you got your merch at the concert, they just maybe pulled it from somewhere, were pleasant, and gave it to you. I'm sure they didn't actually like give you any higher level of service.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just like whatever app. I think it's just truly that whatever app they're using to um to
Do the
process
transaction.
payments. Yeah, it always like it's a default thing, or maybe it's just a required thing that it always asks for tips.
Yeah,
Um,
the article speaks about that too.
yeah. So yeah, and literally whenever prompted, I will tip. And generally like stick to the 20% and just round that up to a reasonable or the whole dollar or nearest dollar or whatever, call it a day. Um, and if I'm not doing the math well in my head, a lot of times it'll be a little bit more than 20%. Um, but yeah, that's general. Yeah, that's my process or thought
And
on
you're okay
it.
with the fact that you're literally just
Um,
paying more money for goods and services that you didn't before with no additional value?
yeah. I the way I think about it for the concert, like the way I think about that is, I know, um, or I've heard, I guess, that the cost of touring is generally not offset by the ticket costs for the concert that the concert goers pay. So a
For
lot
who?
of the for the bands,
That's not true for
like
all people.
the
That's not true for all acts.
yeah, I just that's not in from what I've heard, like for the bands that I go to see, the smaller bands, the yeah the general sentiment that I've gotten is that the uh the merchandise is where they make like a lot of their profit. So yeah, just from that like point of view, I like to support the artists that I go to see. So I know the tips are going towards the artist profit. So that's my thought process there. Like just from a standpoint of wanting to support the artist, and then and I'm not buying their music as well for the most part. I stream now, so
Those
it's
streaming
like
services.
what do you say?
So those streaming services.
Oh yeah. So this is another way I know I can support the artist without buying their music. Not to say that I don't want to, but the streaming is just so damn convenient. It doesn't really make much sense at this point. And then yeah, like anywhere else, again, like the restaurants that I go to, the way I see it, I'm supporting the employees for a restaurant that I like. So so I don't have a problem with tipping, even if it's like typically you would think, okay, you would only tip if you had a waiter or a waitress serving you, and like you were sitting down and getting that type of service. But yeah, I still think of it in terms of even if it's just me going in and picking something up, I can still support the employees, support the business. I still want them to remain open, so and have good service. So
These businesses are not going under because Ace is not tipping.
of course not, but it's not a bad thing. It's my way of helping to support the employees and I mean the business less directly, but if the employees are happy, the business is happy. So
If you say so, there's definitely no wrong or right here. Um, how about you, Ghost? What do you think of the fact that it seemed like tipping areas in which you can tip or prompted to tip has increased, but you're not really getting any more or less service or product these days?
Um, I don't know. To me, the way I look at it is I tip for one reason only, and that's to supplement employees' salary, which it's kind of stupid that that's the system, but that's the system. It's kind of been beaten to death, so I'm not going to get into that part of it. But where I will not tip is where I feel like the employee didn't provide any actual service to me beyond their typical job description that they're getting their usual pay for, and B, it's just putting extra money in the company's pockets because they're being greedy. Like for example, if I go to a restaurant, I'm gonna tip. If I order DoorDash, I'm gonna tip. if if I pull up to Panera at a drive-through and get some food there, I'm not going to tip because it's kind of a different. There's not too much of a distinction, but in my mind, you work in the drive-through and preparing my meal is literally just part of your job.
Yeah.
But providing a good service, being a waiter, being attentive, and all that is providing above and beyond. Plus, I know that if you're being paid, if you're a cashier or whatever, you're getting paid a set rate that's above minimum wage.
Especially these
Whereas,
days, the minimum wage has gone up.
yeah, the cost of everything else has gone up along with it. But when I'm at a restaurant and I'm paying a tip, that's because I know that a lot of times the waiters, waitresses aren't being paid like a typical salary, and I'm supplementing that, so it's whatever. But a lot of these times, these companies, the reason that they do it is because of how tipping culture has morphed into something that's expected. And even if they know in their minds that they don't deserve a tip, they'll still ask because a lot of people will do it regardless. Like for every ace out there that exists, companies are licking their chops to like, damn, we got, and not to call you a sucker ace, we got some sucker here that'll just pay us a tip if we put it on the screen, even if we don't need it. Why wouldn't we put
Damn.
it on there? So again, I'm not trying to take a shot at anyone who tips. I'm just coming from the perspective of how a company running a business operates. And if you have a business that has 100 different chains, say 10,000 interactions every day or every week or whatever, I'm just throwing a number out there, and you have 5 people that tip an extra $10. That's
No one
like,
tipping an extra $10. Knock it off.
I don't know. I mean, if you put it on the screen and it says $10, Ace might tip that. but
Jesus.
This is wild.
I'll be both mostly tongue in cheek here. But if again, let's say 10,000 interactions, transactions a day, you got 5% of people tipping. That's 200 people tipping. Say $5. That's an extra $1,000 you're getting for literally no extra cost or effort to you because you're asking for the extra money. And if people say no, it's whatever. But if you do tip or people do tip, which it sounds like a lot of people will just because it says it to,
Yeah.
then the company's rolling in it and they're making even more profits because they are because people are tipping. So on the principle of it, I give these companies enough money, and it pisses me off whenever I see stuff like that because it's like you're just blatantly asking for extra where you don't really need it or deserve it. But if you get it, then you're just kind of robbing people. So that's the way I look at it.
No, you make absolute positive facts. And yeah, I don't know if I should feel bad because I'm also one of those folks that would generally just tip. Well, yeah, no, I think yours is a good point. And I think maybe it should be the implored um sentiment or rationale that like if you are going to tip, it should be because you generally feel as if the service you've gotten is above and beyond a regular just uh person that works at a restaurant making your sandwich or preparing your food and putting it in the bag. um yeah, I think there are some places that a person will always naturally feel just get like have no issue with, even if it is a franchise. Like I think Chick-fil-A takes tips, and I always want Chick-fil-A to be in business, so they'll probably always get my tip. But
Hey
at the
yo,
same,
What?
sorry.
it's
Continue.
fine.
What's wrong with you?
I watch enough Cameron and Mace or shows. So I guess I should be more aware. Anyway, um, yeah, there's some places that are just are more deserving of it, but some places like Subway, they need to knock it off. Like, come on, you've been in business for years since Homeboy with the big pants has been in business, and y'all been doing fine. Like, don't come over here and ask for tips now. Some of these retail stores that all they do is fold your clothes and put it in the bag. Relax. Um,
About a year.
but at the same time, again, if you do feel inclined, there's no wrong or right answers to tipping. Just I guess just make sure you're not super complaining about it and make sure you are truly comfortable with it. I guess is the moral of the story. And if you are feeling
Yeah, and
fatigued
don't
about,
stress about it. Like
yeah,
I that's one thing. I I said I always tip, but there's definitely been times where I haven't for one reason or another. Like for example, when the tip when the tip is asked for on like the on the receipt, that I feel like less inclined to do, especially if I'm in like a super rush. I don't want to think through
do the
the
math.
20, yes, the 20%. I'll just write down the cost of the thing and call it a day without the tip. Um, but and yeah, I don't like have any type of negative. Oh, I should have tipped. Like I definitely don't have any guilt or anything like that. Um, the only time I think tipping is, or the only time in my mind that tipping was ever something that is required is um when you do have like a waiter, like a
Yeah,
sit
just sit
down
down
situation,
restaurants.
you have a
Yeah.
waiter in the office. Like yeah, no, that's it. So yeah, I don't stress about it. And then the last thing I was gonna say is I I forget who it was. I was watching stand up some clip from a stand up routine where the person was like he was just roasting some random crowd person in the crowd that said that they worked in a restaurant or something, and they were like, why do you guys say, this is gonna ask you a question and we know what the question is. It's always what how much a tip is going to be. Why do you do that? That had me dying.
Probably all
Yeah.
psychology.
Yeah, it's a classic salesman tactic. You ask a question that's not going to like make a person feel pressured. You just use a question on the next screen. You can answer
Yeah,
however
just
you
gonna
want.
ask you a question. So funny.
Yeah. No, I think you said it very well, and Ace, and
I
at the
sorry, I know we're basically wrapping up, but I got
yeah, go
one
ahead.
more quick question for y'all. We're all pretty much we'll tip when required. Some of us maybe when we're not. What about on the flip side? If anyone's a bad tipper or doesn't tip at all, or the only tips they give is don't eat yellow snow. Do y'all have any thought, or would y'all say something if, like, if I was like just an egregiously bad non-tipper and I never ever tipped? Would y'all have a problem with that? Because you said don't stress in the other way. I'm just curious what y'all thoughts are. On the
I mean, I don't care
alternative.
if I don't care if somebody else doesn't ever tip, but if we're out together, then I'm going to tip uh, for us as a whole. I mean, other
Well,
than that, like I don't
I
care.
mean that's kind of cheating. Like, let's say we go out to eat and one person foots the bill and the other person is supposed to cover the tip, and they say, "Oh no, I never tip. I'm not tipping." And it's something where it should have been their responsibility, but they're not doing it. You
I,
wouldn't
th-
say anything to them?
I think we
I mean,
know
that's not
each
about the
other.
tip though. It's just that they're not paying their portion of anything.
That's
Like
kind of
No,
I get it, but
I see what
that's not
I see
really
what
the
Ghost is
intent.
saying. It's not really.
Like we
I think we know each other enough to know one other person would just take care of it. I don't really think we trust it that much.
Yeah, I'm saying a scenario where it's not about responsibility; it's about them just not tipping ever.
I don't know. I can't imagine myself getting upset about it. Like just from the perspective of they don't feel that we should tip. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I think
I can't
fundamentally,
imagine getting this upset about it.
I think fundamentally, I don't have any issues with people that don't tip. I've known people that are anti-tipping, and they have the sentiment where companies should be paying people what they deserve, and it's not on the person to give supplementary funding to the person that works there. So I mean, if you don't want to, I mean, it is what it is.
Gotcha.
Um, but yeah, I guess it's one of those basic YouTube things. If you don't like to tip, tell us. If you tip, tell us what you usually tip people, and if you don't like to tip, tell us why. Yeah. But anyway, if there's nothing else, we move on to the next topic.
This is a funny one.
Okay. So, you know what's interesting? I have a Dare shirt. I was wearing the other day, and somebody stopped me and said, "Nice shirt," which was all common. But then they proceeded to tell me that they used to, I think, be in the Dare program, which I don't know if that meant they just were around when Dare was coming around to schools and saying, or they were actually a part of it. Because that's a good ass question. Like, and it kind of goes back to what you were saying about the the etiquette expert. What the people that worked for the people that came and were part of the Dare program? What was your job? Did you work for Dare full time? Were you a W-2 employee? Like,
There's no way. It
anyway,
had to be a part time.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
I guess you can volunteer for Dare and there. But anyway, so let's get to this user at Jarlissa Nicole. They said Dare worked on millennials very well. I don't know many people in my generation that are crackheads for real. We smoke a little weed, drink a little drink. Y'all might pop a little fun pill. I don't know about that part. But the generation before and after us, baby, they love drugs. They'll do anything. They don't give a fuck. And yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of loading on whether this person is actually oh yeah, I get no, they say millennials. So yeah, so the person millennial, and this is their sentiment on drug usage in the age range for the age range or the era range of millennials. And I guess who better to ask than not better to ask, but what do y'all think about this? And I guess this is strictly a personal experience thing. I guess in theory you could do some level of data research to see what the drug usage is if they have good statistics on that. But yeah, I guess in your general, what did y'all experience when y'all were coming up? In I guess from people and y'all peers, do you find this to be true, or do you think they're a bit off the mark? What do you think, Ghost?
I am like the worst, absolute worst person to ask. But I don't know. I mean, for me, the only drug that I don't even say been around, but known people in my age group to take is weed. Beyond, but again, I really don't count because I didn't go to regular high school. And when I was in college, I was boring. I didn't go to parties. I commuted, worked a couple of jobs, and yeah, so I was never turning up like that. So like again, I don't really count. Well, I mean, to some extent, I think it's true enough. I mean, weed has kind of become super popular, but I guess I'd say at my general age range, there's still kind of a stigma around being a crackhead, doing cocaine, meth, all the crazy hard stuff. Like you'll still have people that do it, but it's not like widely and readily accepted and all that. But uh, I can't really speak to what's the generation before millennials. Is that boomers?
Oh,
Right.
X.
I
That's
don't know.
X. Okay. I
Jesus.
can't speak for Gen X, but I know Gen Z I think is probably yeah, more what pills like Xanax, lean,
That lean.
definitely weed. I couldn't speak to like the harder stuff, crack and all that. I think there's still kind of a stigma around that, like crack and
You think there's
heroin.
a stigma?
I don't I'm guessing, bro. I'm not around the crowds that would be heavily involved that I would know. But
I think you're still inundated with society enough to know that there's a stigma around some of these harder drugs, harder substances.
not with
Jesus.
Gen X or whatever generation was the crack generation. I think that's Gen X. Crack in the '80s and all that. But
Fair enough. Fair enough. How about yourself, Ace? In your experience, do you think millennials did stay away from harsh drug users, and would you contribute to Dare of all things?
Uh, hmm. In my personal experience, I I actually think so. Just based on, I have at least one anecdotal example where I know the person was um directly influenced not to partake because of some. Actually, I don't even know if that was Dare though. It might have just been a commercial, one of those weird commercials. Don't do drug commercials.
Oh, this is
I
your
think it was Dare.
this is your brain. This is your brain on drugs Friday type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. One of those type of joints. Um, but yeah, no. As far as the program as a whole, like it is very difficult to try to figure out like if I perceived that my peers were less inclined to do drugs because of Dare. For myself, obviously, I really don't think Dare would have made a difference because I because of our our upbringing, like.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Dare did provide some base level, not, I mean, at least naming of drugs that I'm sure I wasn't aware of prior, and maybe that could have helped with awareness. But then again, I didn't get prompted to do any drugs, so I don't know. Like, I don't know. It did like it wouldn't have had an effect on me. Like it wouldn't have changed anything. Um, and then for my peers, I think it's possible outside of my one anecdotal example. It probably didn't have that much of an effect. I don't know. This is tough. This is tough. I think this is something that requires some very rigid statistical analysis because
I mean,
this is like.
I'm just asking you. I'm just asking in your experience. If your experience dictates that there wasn't a lot of drug uses going around, and that's fine. If there was, then that's fine too. I'll say for myself, um, yeah, but I guess this report does become a bit of subjective. Yeah, I would actually say quite the contrary because I, coming up, were around a good amount of folks who I don't want to say it was the culture at the time, but when that like when that like Danny Brown, Schoolboy Q, Hard Future era was coming around, I mean, why like that was kind of culture. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna cap. And obviously, even Future. Once you if you go a little further than that, and then Juice World and all these guys. Um, yeah, I think it was while Dare definitely had some level of influence in the fact that people remembered it and maybe had still had some merchandise and clothing. The problem with Dare for me, Dare didn't scare people. And maybe I have to go back and like really look at some of the material that they used, but Dare didn't scare people. Dare was just like awareness, like, hey, like, you know, dare to don't do drugs. If you really want to prevent people from using being a user, you have to scare them. You have to like bring on somebody off the streets that used to deal in dope and damn, I was gonna say something snowfall related. It was a spoiler.
I'll do it.
Anyway, I obviously caught myself. Um, anyway, you gotta bring in somebody that's been through it and their life is in shambles now. You gotta scare people. They don't really scare people, in my opinion. And you
Well,
mix that.
I
So I
do.
was gonna say, you mix that with again a lot of the artists that were coming up in the 2010s eras from like 20, I would say from 2011 to like 2014, 15, like that was kind of the was being pushed. So I mean, I guess you can say it might have worked early on and or later on in life. I don't think the are people that are around 30 years old are heavily consuming anything, but when they were in high school and early college, I think they were on board with that. But yeah.
That's a great point about not scaring people. But I do remember the I do remember two things actually. And I'm pretty sure I can attribute these to Dare, which were the examples of people that got lung cancer from smoking and like had to use the tube for to speak and like the tube in their throat thing, like they can't
I
speak
remember
anymore.
those commercials. I don't think that was Dare though. I could be wrong, but I feel like it was a different entity.
Okay. Um
Also,
but yeah.
while it could be included there, I'm not necessarily including SIGs. I don't think people after a certain age are using SIGs like that.
Well, I mean, if that was Dare, if that was part of Dare, if it was part of Dare, maybe that was
Well,
part of it. But
I think just because they got harder to access, the cigarette companies were forced to like put all these disclaimers and really make it hard for younger people to get into. And also, vaping and e-cigs came around.
yeah,
That's
that's
why that
true. Yeah.
that's why that kind of got
Yeah.
phased out. I guess
Yeah,
the
that's
commercial
true.
with the guy with the throat thing, I can't even do a good imitation of it. Was kind of like scary. You don't want to end up like him, but
Yeah. But no, and then the other one was to the chewing tobacco. I'm almost 100% positive that was Dare because I don't remember seeing that anywhere else. Or like people would use that and end up having to just get their jaw removed, like their lower half of their lower jaw removed because of the whatever that stuff does to your jaw. Um, and that like that's probably the closest thing I. That's probably like the if there was a drug that was or any type of drug that was going to tempt me, it would have been chewing tobacco just because as a kid like it seemed like gum and then you see baseball players chewing it and baseball players seem cool but seeing the those examples definitely was like okay, this stuff is dangerous, like there's absolutely no way I would ever do this. um so yeah, to your point, um if Dare did fail, it probably was because of a lack of just very disturbing examples of people who got strung out on these drugs. And um I mean, it's probably worse to show examples that lived but had these crazy bodily deformation because of it. um what was I gonna say? And yeah, like if there were, I mean, if there was, I guess even if there was a like new iteration of Dare, it could
well, there
work.
still exists.
Oh, I didn't know it still existed. Well, it doesn't seem
Yeah,
to have its
I was thinking
presence in the
about
school as much.
maybe not so much. 'Cause I was thinking about, cause we definitely talked about Dare before. Maybe they're just more of an online presence. I remember, I think the last time we talked about them, they were kind of beefing with the writers or just the people behind Euphoria. They were saying that
Oh
it was spreading
yeah.
a bad message to the youth.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it whatever. Like even if it does exist in its current iteration, like if there is any
Oops.
thought that it's failing, they probably could incorporate some of those scare tactics to to get kids, like to just get an impression in kids' heads. It's not gonna work once they're in like pretty much middle school years. The kids are done. Like they're not gonna get influenced by Dare, I don't think. But elementary school, like you could plant some pretty permanent like scars in terms of
Dog, the way you're phrasing is crazy.
yeah, preventing kids from wanting to do that stuff. I think that's the age.
Yeah, you definitely got
Brainwashing from when they're young. Got it.
you definitely got to get them when they're young. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know how influenced super young folks are these days to start using certain things. Um, like you're talking about that chewing tobacco example. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think anybody these days is worried about that. Like chewing tobacco. Psh, psh, psh. You got if you
I
want
mean,
to.
I knew a homie that did the chewing tobacco.
Well, I'm not saying like literally nobody, but these days kids are on these vapes and these type of things. That that
That is
that's just
true. He actually
that's
did
just
stop to
that's just not much of a
use
concern
vapes.
these days. Yeah, if there is still out there. Yeah, you definitely got to start young, and you definitely got to really put the fear of God in these young folks that they don't, so they don't become users. But yeah, I think I don't totally dismiss what this person said. I think if their experience they seen as people got older they didn't really consume that much or use that much, then there's nothing really to complain about that. But if there's nothing else, we can move on to the next topic. What order did I put these things in actually? I think I might have wanted to do a different order than what I had originally there, but um yeah, based off what I have here. Yeah, I guess we can end with that. So yeah, go to this. Oh, Lord have mercy. First kind of serious topic. We did the little light stuff. So salute to Shade Room. Pretty sure a lot of people have heard about this unfortunate, sad story. But if you haven't, um, autistic teen sentenced to 5 years in prison for assaulting teacher's aide who confiscated his Nintendo Switch. The Florida teen who was seen on video assaulting a teacher's aide after she confiscated his Nintendo Switch, has been sentenced to 5 years in prison. 18-year-old Brandon Depa, who has been diagnosed with autism and other disabilities, was sentenced on Tuesday to 5 years in prison and 15 years probation. Jeez, according to docs obtained by NBC News. Judge Terrence Perkins, who ordered the Department of Correction to conduct a full mental health assessment on Depa and create a care plan he can follow while behind bars. Depa pleaded no contest to one count of aggravated battery on an elected official or educated employee, which I didn't know that you have it's a higher issue if it's an elected official or an educated employee. The teacher's aide, Joanne Nadich, reportedly suffered 5 broken ribs, a concussion, hearing and vision loss, and was diagnosed with PTSD after Depa threw her on the ground and proceeded to kick and punch her back in February 2023. So in this video that is included on Shade Room, you kind of see a brief bout of the incident. But there are other videos in the description below. I'm probably going to include an article that links down to an article that provides more of the information, just to kind of give you more full depth. Because yeah, the whole video is pretty. It's not. I don't want to say it's not safe for work, but it's pretty brutal. Like this young man went to put the beats on this teacher's aide. And yeah, it's a super unfortunate situation. You do have this young autistic brother who at the time was 17, so they would have been considered a minor. And yeah, based off the story, it's really unfortunate, and I guess I'll kind of just or start diving into the question. But yeah, once you look at some of the background information about um like they had other instances of aggravation and assaults prior to this situation. How the parent came out and said the school didn't do all that they could to potentially prevent these type of things. Oh, it's just bad all around. So yeah, just given based off what we do know, and if there's any questions, I can obviously try to provide additional information, but not to necessarily hyper focus on this story, even though it is pretty tragic. I mean, what in general do you think when you guys see this story? Do you think when it comes to young artistic folks, there should be a higher level of grace and charitability when it comes to them, or when you see a video like this, it kind of makes you throw all that out the window and think they deserve, however, whatever the courts believe that they deserve. What do y'all think? Let's start with you, Ace.
Um, in general, and I will say I'm not the most familiar. I mean, I'm not familiar with the story at all. This is my first time hearing of it. Um, but yeah, in general, like I would not give much, if any, more grace um to somebody who is, I won't just say autistic, but somebody who was allowed to be in public. Like they weren't deemed to be somebody who needed to be in a mental institution beforehand. So case, like if their mental disability wasn't so severe that like they were required to be in some type of institution, then um yeah, then them being subjected to the same sentence or a similar sentence that a person without the disability um would be subject to, I don't I generally don't have a problem with that in my mind. Um
So that's the
and
threshold. If they're out in public, then they have to deal with everything that the general public has to deal with.
yeah, like if they've had, whatever mental evaluations are required to determine that, 'cause obviously they were diagnosed autistic. Like that's something we can, at the very least, we know that was their disability, and they apparently had others. These were diagnosed things that were still, like, they were still determined to be okay, to be within society. I mean, not regardless of, but like per their diagnosis.
I mean,
So
just because you're autistic
that
or
means,
suffer some level of mental health issues doesn't mean you can't be a part of society. No.
I mean, there are some mental disabilities that do require you not to be part of society. Like that do require you to be held in a some type of institution because you're not fit to be part of society.
This is true, but I mean, with disabilities in general, obviously we have some aspects of society in which we I don't want to say cater, but adjust towards it. I mean, it's going extreme, but we have braille in some locations. Like we adjust society for people with disabilities, and so they can still participate in a general society. We don't have to put them away or separate them.
Hmm. We do. We do, but still, like, that doesn't. I don't think that changes. I don't think that changes um the fact that they are still, like, if they've been deemed to be within society, even with any type of guardrails um or accommodations that are required for their mental health, there still is a there still is like a determination that they are mentally fit to, I mean, not beat the hell out of somebody. Like they've been determined to have the mental capacity to not to not give into like an urge to beat somebody down like this um like this dude did. So what I guess what I'm trying to say is like the the determination has already been made that they had the capacity, just like we have the capacity to stop themselves from um giving into this, urge to beat this teacher's aide up.
Well,
And
to be fair,
because of that,
nobody gets this. Nobody gets an evaluation of restraint from physical violence. Like nobody tests you at some point in life. Hey, can you be inside without beating the shite out of somebody? But I genuinely understand what you're saying.
uh, yeah, um, and yeah, just like given that they had a diagnosis and they were still deemed fit to be in society and not be a danger such that they just have to be put in a mental institution off rip. um I think the same the exact same, like maybe there could still be some lenience if you had like if a lawyer and if a lawyer was able to pull in some expert that said no, this particular thing in their brain, like literally like CTE for example, is that what it's called, the concussion thing, where like people
Yes.
that have gotten multiple concussions are more prone to violent behavior. If it's something like that, I could see a more lenient sentence, maybe, but mm, mm, but yeah, I don't know. Even in that situation, like depending on the severity of the crime, almost just doesn't seem like it would really matter.
I think fundamentally
The
we
only
understand.
other thing I can say is, yeah, and the only other thing I can say is like I don't I'm not this huge fan of the prison system as a whole either. Like I do think there's definitely fundamental flaws with it, but just from the perspective of a punishment needing to be dealt for the crime, it's I lean less towards like a more lenient sentence being needed.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think fundamentally we understand your stance on the matter. If if they've had some level of evaluations and they are esteemed that they can exist in this society, then they have to participate by society's rules and society's consequence. I think the only thing we could question is, so do you fully trust or put faith in the level of evaluations that are available at this time? I guess. I mean, we're saying they had an evaluation or an assessments, and it was deemed that they're acceptable for public school or whatever the case may be. But aren't you then putting your full trust in whatever counselor or therapist or whoever is involved in that process, their diagnosis, even though a person could have prior experiences. Like how many experiences or incidents do you get even after or before the evaluations?
Mm. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that there could have been human error or um yeah, we'll just say human error. Like the diagnosis was not 100% correct. And also, I mean, you could you could just go ahead and say like given the incident occurring, um would this change the um would this have changed the diagnosis?
Yeah.
And if that's if that's going to be part of the consideration, then that would have to be something that is determined like during or before slash during the trial process, where they get another evaluation to see if they should be um they should be held to the same standards. But
But they still go to jail.
yeah, just yeah. um so yeah, I mean, it might just be that like i have I have less of a tolerance for violence regardless of the mental capacity of the person that committed the crime.
Which is this is a 100% valid, fair point. I mean, at the end of the day, we all, not we all, but we can be sympathetic towards somebody that has some level of issues. But at the end of the day, once you start beating the crap out of somebody, I mean, how much sympathy can you have?
Yeah.
How about yourself, Ghost? What do you think of a situation like this? Do you tend to lean more on the they deserve more grace and charitableness side, or do you think they deserve the full extent of the law based off the circumstance?
Um, I don't know. There's a couple different things I'm kicking around in my head. I'm kind of leaning toward Ace's side, but I think the first thing to determine is whoever's making these assessments and whoever's making these determinations on if this person is fit to be a part of normal society, if those assessments are deemed accurate and correct, if the if in this case if this autistic person was found to have or to not be developmentally disabled to the point where they have control over their actions and their emotions, and this was just a result of them, similar to how a regular person would, just uh, losing their self-control and going crazy on somebody. I do not think that they should be given any leniency as far as punishment goes, because again, if that determination was made in the first place, that comes with the caveat that if you are deemed capable enough to be treated as a normal person, you get the punishment of a normal person.
Mm,
On the flip side, if it's determined that you do not have the capacity to keep control of yourself in the way that a standardly development, I don't know the correct term, but like a person with like a typical mindset would have, then I don't think there should be, from a punishment standpoint, as harsh of a judgment. But on the flip side, I think that that comes with the caveat that you cannot be treated as part of normal society at any point from that point on in your life.
Jesus.
And I I'm not even trying to be like harsh with it. It's just it's kind of like if you have a dealing with a child, and this is you're dealing with like a baby, and the baby is you're trying to feed the baby's throwing stuff it's food on the floor when you put a bowl in front of it and like, here, eat this, and it's just not accepting it. A baby is not going to be able to actively process the fact that no, I shouldn't be doing this, and so therefore they shouldn't be given the opportunity to throw the food on the floor. There should be precautions taken to prevent that. Whereas if you're dealing with like a more advanced child, like that's 6 or something, and is the child is doing the same thing, then it comes with the fact that okay, this child is going to get punished, whereas the baby would not get punished, but that older child still would have the opportunity to redeem themselves and show that they are capable of acting mature and not doing the action that they shouldn't be. So that's kind of like the general way I look at this, and I don't. I feel like you can't have it both ways. Like if this kid or this, I don't even know, this
It's a,
18-year-old,
it's a kid.
yeah, if he's in a regular public school, I don't think that any leniency should be given to him. And I think the fact that he was even in the school in the first place is kind of crazy because I did a quick bit of reading on my own, like from this article, another separate article I found. And this was a quote from the mother on the witness stand regarding the child. I had told the school that being hungry was a trigger, that noise was a trigger, that being told no was a trigger, that being corrected in front of other people was a trigger, and electronics was a huge trigger.
Yeah.
I hear that,
Well,
and I say, why
they
the
did it.
fuck is he going to a regular school if all
The
those things are
electronics definitely came
triggering
into
him?
place.
That's
Fair
wild.
enough. But like if you know all this and the school knows all this, why is he being allowed to even be put in the opportunity to harm this teacher like this? And I think that it's either A, the mother is trying to um, push a narrative that favors her son to avoid
Yeah, I
that
mean,
jail
obviously, they don't
time.
want their child to go to prison.
Yeah, or it could be this is actually true, but she just didn't have an option as like any alternative place to send him because maybe there aren't any schools in the area that are capable of dealing with him. By the way, this 18-year-old is 6'6" and 270. Just
Yeah,
throwing that out there.
yeah, he,
Or
yeah, he was a big boy.
yeah, and maybe she didn't want to have the alternative be, oh, he goes to a mental hospital or some place that really wouldn't have any care for his well-being, which is a whole nother conversation about how we treat mentally ill people and all that, which we don't have to just get into. But I don't know. I feel like it should be either or. If they find that he really is developmentally disabled to the point that he had no control and no conscious uh, malice in his mind when he went through with this, then he shouldn't get prison time, but he should be uh, either I don't know what the options would be if he goes to an institution that permanently houses him, provides care for him, but he can't just be like, oh, you're gonna get a regular job in 10 years and you're gonna work a 9 to 5 and take the subway home every day because who's to say you won't snap on the subway and put other people in the hospital? So it's either that or you don't treat him like that, but again, he goes to prison because it should, in my mind, if he's going to prison, then there's the judgment aspect where you need consequences for what you've done, and there's also the rehabilitation aspect where you need to make sure, or in theory, help this person to not do what they did again. If he's mentally ill, there's no point in judging him for something that he had no real conscious control over, and there's going to be no rehabilitation because he could get out and do the same exact thing. And again, his mind isn't to the point where he can choose if he if he wants to do this or not. So I don't think that in this case, both like the 5 years prison, 15 years probation, I don't think that's appropriate. But again, I'm not an expert, and I know that if I got beaten down like this teacher's aide did, I would not be happy with hearing that he got off with no prison time and just probation. But on the flip side, it's like there are certain things, like going back to the baby analogy, where you can't punish a baby because they don't know what they're doing. So I feel like it should be either or.
Yeah, totally understandable. Yeah, I tend to lean towards what you're saying. It goes, and you were effectively saying the same thing. We just necessarily can't have it both ways. If it is deemed that a person can / wants to be a part of society, the public society, then you have to deal with public society rules. Yeah, I will say for myself, it's one of those things we definitely have to understand more of the circumstance. And this is all going to be case by case, but understand more of the circumstance to really be able to have a solid say one way or another. Because when you just see the headline, autistic 16 sentenced to 5 years for assaulting somebody, well, my first thought is, well, I don't know if they should be going to prison. They should probably go into some type of mental health facility. But then, depending on the way you go, the way you look, whether the person's had multiple previous instances of violence, I believe this was during the actual case when it was ongoing, but they actually did bring in mental health experts, and somebody did deem that they were able to, or somebody was able to deem that they do understand that they do understand right from wrong. So that's also an element that we look at here. And yeah, I think it's definitely an unfortunate situation all around. Obviously, we never want to we don't want to be in a society in which depending on which way your diagnosis goes, we just completely bar you off from everybody else. But we also have to try to have a society where people are as safe as possible. Are you able to scroll down and you can see the comments? Because the interesting thing is, from everybody I talked to, it seems like we're on a similar page of you know, as unfortunate as it is, based off the crime here, they do deserve some level of punishment. But if you look inside the comments, if you can't pull them, everybody should have to believe me.
I don't think I can.
One person said, I work with autistic kids, and sometimes these behaviors occur within a blink of an eye. Prison is not the place. Someone says 5 years. He needs treatment, not jail. Someone said, I was saying, whenever we talk about mental health, everyone starts typing their paragraphs. As a mother of a autistic son, this pisses me off. Why wasn't his behavior planned and forced? A well-trained BCBA or a therapist would have known his triggers and know not to just let him take the switch, but transition him accordingly. A special needs teenager does not need jail, but to be placed in a facility to train to work with them. So a lot of people are saying that he doesn't need jail. He shouldn't go to jail, rather. He needs help, not jail. Biggest fear for my son. Dang, a lot of people have people with autistic kids. And there's one person that I read this comment before. Someone said she's a teacher's aide. It's not her job to confiscate anything from a child. It's her job to assist the teacher. The teacher should have handled this, or behavior specialist. Any child on a spectrum, in my opinion, should not be in an inclusion class. If they are, they should have a certified trained specialist assisting them. This baby should not be going to jail, first off, because he has a special needs and the school did not properly care for him, and second, because he's a minor. So yeah, a lot of people don't actually believe they should be going to jail at all. And some people were bringing up the fact that this is a teacher's aide, so they shouldn't have been taking the switch in the first place, and it's more of a fault of the school. Which, I mean, we can try to... And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with bringing up the lacking or shortcoming of the school. Then we kind of get into a conversation of well, does the average public school really have the facilities to really take care of everybody that may have special needs? But yeah. I don't know. You guys just think this is kind of a
Well,
this is kind of a thing where like a lot of people have a high level of empathy towards young folks that have special needs? Because a lot of people are saying they don't deserve jail. That's not what y'all saying.
I don't know, man. Maybe it's kind of crazy because in general, I am an empathetic person, but when it comes to violent crimes, like I don't really have that much. Um, I don't really have that much like sympathy. It's like okay, like yes, all of these things are valid points. The teacher shouldn't have. Maybe the teacher shouldn't have took the switch away. Maybe the school did not provide what he like the environment that he needed, but he committed a violent crime. Like there still has to be some type of repercussion in my mind,
Yeah.
and like maybe I can give some um I guess I can give some uh like ground in terms of okay, should it be jail or should it be a an institution? Um, should it be jail or should it be an institution? And given my perceived uh shortcomings of the prison system, like maybe there is a reality in which there is a um there is still a punishment, but it is in an institution where the person is getting help to be rehabilitated back in society. So maybe that is a thing, but yeah, to me there's still like at some points there's still got to be like a punishment. Like it's yeah, I don't really have a lot of a lot of empathy when it comes to stuff like this, I guess.
Yeah. I think it really is not really boils down to, but I think it has a lot to part in to do how you kind of perceive this situation. If you are somebody that's in the world of working with special needs kids and or young black or brown kids, because that's also an element I see a lot in the comments. If this was a white kid, they'd be giving him more treatment, which depending on the environment, that's 100% not true. But yeah, depending on what you perceive requires more or less empathy. Because I'm with you. If once we start talking about violent crimes, well, we can might feel sad about the situation. We literally have to create the first and foremost thing we have to do is create a society that people can feel safe in. Because if we don't have that, then it can't work. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have too much else on this. Again, it's super unfortunate. Um, yeah, that video was not pleasant to watch. Um, yeah, we just continually. That's why over here around here we always, and I know some people don't like when we say it, but we always you know send continual prayers that the Most High helps people both physically and mentally because people definitely are struggling with things. And we are very conscious of that, and we just have to do whatever we can to try to create systems and societies where people where people can feel safe, and also we continually try to help people that may require it. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's nothing else. We can move on to the next topic. Yeah, what were we talking about last week? They just came out and said SpongeBob was autistic. Are they gonna have an episode where SpongeBob was getting into fights or stuff like
Dog.
that? Sorry.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
I've actually was looking forward to talking about this, man. And it's and sorry, my mind's going a lot. It's going quick. It's also interesting because remember what I said last week when we were going over the double XL freshmen, the potential problem that always comes around, especially in this day and age, the double XL freshman list comes out, the freestyles come out, the ciphers come out, the interviews come out. It's all good and dandy. If a person already has a buzz, they'll be straight. But if they don't, they really have to do something, and by something I mean musically, or else they end up getting known for other stuff. I just saw something, I don't know if it's recent, so I don't want to speak on it too much, but one of the double X freshmen mugshots going around for drug charges. And now we have this recent incident, if you will, about Scarlip. So go over to the third slide first. I can see comments on this page, but not the other one. Anyway, so in case you missed it, Scarlip was on live recently with her significant other, and I have a comment about that as well. But they were on live with their significant other, and you know how it is. Potential sex is incoming. You know how women be on when they're on live and they're kind of just feeling comfortable at home, and maybe there are booze around them, and they just kind of feeling it, and they might get to talking about like nonsense. So let's see what her interaction was, and let's see what you guys make of it. Scroll over to the right.
Stop playing with me if I grip your father.
Stop playing with me. Stop talking about my father. I'm talking about my father, bro. What about that?
You think I'm pretty, baby?
You're beautiful, man. Sometimes.
What that mean?
I mean, sometimes. Sometimes.
Am I pretty right now?
No, not right now. Definitely not right now. Definitely not. I'm looking a little.
Ain't no way, bro.
I'm gonna get out of here, y'all. I love y'all. I don't feel like being on live no more.
Side eyes is crazy.
So your dad don't think I look pretty right now?
Not like right now, but like sometimes.
Watched. Scuffed.
Wait, what'd you say, Ace?
I said scuffed.
Well, in the context of how we're talking
You
about woman aesthetics, it kind of sounds
Oh no,
like...
not her aesthetics.
Yo!
Oh,
Nah, Ace.
I was talking about his response.
Come on, you got to know the
Yo.
timing, Ace. Come on.
Your timing is just not.
Come on.
That's wild, bro.
I was
But
talking about.
She already getting it from a man. You can get it from some random seeing it for the first time too. That's wild. Out of pocket.
Anyhow, so Scarlip's on live, and she's having a cool little time, and then she asked her man, probably something that a lot of women ask their man for some reason. You think I'm beautiful? You think I'm pretty? You think I'm cute? And at first, he gave the chorus or you're my love. They're from New York. If you couldn't tell, like that, I mean, it's obvious, but they're from New York. So they said it like in the New York way. Of course, you're beautiful, my love. But then he kept it too real, question mark, and said sometimes. And that's when her brain started like, what do you mean sometimes? There's a bit more to this interaction. We're just trying to get the full picture, but I mean, it's a lot more of the same. You can keep going.
There's more.
You feel me?
That silence.
You ain't end this live yet?
To think about that. Love you guys. I'm gonna get out of here. Love you guys.
She definitely ended that live as soon as they said they would, but and salute to Scarlip as I appreciate them for their raps, and they also have a bit of personality. Excuse me?
That was the video.
Oh. Go ahead, go to the second one. Yeah, they have a bit of personality, so and it kind of seems like somewhat satirical. So you might have thought maybe that's how they give it up. Maybe in their relationship, sometimes they go and have a little yeah, I kind of think you look ugly type dynamic. But then it came out like a couple days later and said, I've been humiliated. The world is laughing at my relationship, which makes it seem like, nah, there is kind of dead ass, as you say in New York. um, and I should maybe stop bringing the comments on all these particular topics because it's gonna depend on where you're looking. If you're looking at Hollywood a lot, where there's a lot of female uh, audience, the audience is predominantly women, but they didn't take kindly to this. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's not too much to dig in here, but for some reason, I'm just kind of curious to hear what y'all interpretation of this scenario is, and more importantly, I mean, and maybe this is kind of like an age-old thing, but is the moral of the story here that men can't be honest with women, or is this brother just being disrespectful? What do we think? What do you think, Ghost?
We better not be turned to one of these goddamn relationship podcasts where it's men against women, bro. I don't know. I mean, first of all, the very first thing, I guess to answer your question, if you're in a relationship, no, you should not be 100% honest 100% of the time.
What?
I'm just getting that out there.
This is a hot take. I'm listening.
If your girl, this is like the easy. This is 2 + 2 = 4 on your test. If your girl asks you, "Do I look pretty?" there is a simple answer you give, and that answer is yes. Like to
What if at that point in time you don't believe that to be the truth? So you're saying lie?
I'm saying in some ways yes, but in my mind the way I would justify it, so it wouldn't be 100% a lie. I'd say,
Well, I mean, a lie is a lie.
you got a beautiful spirit. At the moment, you might be looking a little, as Ace put it, scuffed.
Wow,
And
this
crazy.
is crazy.
I don't know. For the record, I don't know what's being said here.
Just quotes.
By the way.
But like, dog, the fact you had it right, you had it perfectly right. Do you see the way her smile dropped after he said sometimes, and it wasn't even the fact that he said sometimes, it was the fact that he said like right now, no. He said definitely no. Definitely. He repeated it like 3 times.
He just wanted to let her know how he feels about the situation. I mean, so she knows he ain't capping.
But if we look at this logically, what outcome do you think is gonna result in you saying this? Like, you think your girl's just gonna go put on some makeup, get pretty for you? Like, what benefit is there to you saying this? There's no benefit.
Well, I mean,
there's no good that can come out of this.
I mean, if you flip it, if you were to go ask your significant other or just anybody in general, hey, how do I look right now? Not that that's something guys often do. Would you like them to lie to you, or would you like to? Nah, your shirt's kind of like got a couple days on it. It looked like you didn't really brush your hair today.
Well,
it looked like your skin ain't really skinning.
Well, for one, and then this is another thing. Me personally, I wouldn't care if I legitimately asked, like, if I asked one of y'all how I look right now, I would expect like an honest answer. Like, at this moment in time, I'm saying at this moment in time, I know I'm looking for stuff. I need a haircut. I need my beard cut and all that. I'm looking stuff. I have no problem if y'all were to say this to me. It is different, for one, if you're with your significant other, and for two, especially if you're a woman, because a lot of women, and it's been ingrained in them from a very young age, associate their self-worth, for good or for bad, with their appearance.
So it's treat women differently, just to be clear.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Okay, I heard you the first time. You sound like the guy now. Definitely, yes.
You treat men differently, you treat women differently. That is what it is.
So basically, you engage in sexism.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is what we're
I think
100%
everyone in the world should
abundantly
engage
clear.
in some form of sexism.
Thank you. Honest. You know he's not capping.
Now, going back to where this dude fucked up, even if you had that thought in your head, even if you were possessed to say it for whatever stupid reason, it's better to just say, uh, instead of having a blanket thing, oh, not right now, definitely not. And not, definitely don't emphasize that. But even if you were to say, you would say something like, not right now, like you're like there's really no great way to frame this, but if you were to specify like your hair looking kind of crazy, like in a joking way or something, because I mean, it looked like she wasn't like getting ready to go out, it was just chilling with her man's,
Getting
maybe
ready to go
trying
to
to go to
bed
bed or
is what they're
something.
getting ready to go.
Exactly. So, like, if you were to specify something specific, I think that would there'd be a distinction there because it implies that it's not your entire overall appearance, it's just one aspect of the appearance. Which again, it might be. I'm not even saying lie. I'm saying it could be something true you're pointing out. But again, if uh, and I'm not just I'm
Right, bro. We're doing good.
He's gone.
Yeah. I should have gave the disclaimer at the front of all the videos.
it's like a 1% importance. Some people it's a 90% importance. I think that's true for every single person on the planet. And if you're just going out and saying definitely not, like even me, I don't care. But if my future wife were to say that to me, I would I don't know if I'd be offended, but I'd be like a little caught off guard. Like, what are you saying that? And maybe I would be offended if I was in a certain mood. I don't know. But what is this is going back to the point. There's no point in saying this. So for him to say that and just double, triple down on it, it's stupid, is low key inconsiderate, and yeah, I just think he really fucked up. And then that's that's the dude, and then her. I know you said you were gonna touch on this whole couples going on Instagram Live thing, but to me, this just seems like extremely goofy way of approaching this. Not only do you kind of embarrass yourself on the live, not that that was your intent, but then you're gonna go on Facebook, bro. I have been humiliated. The world is laughing at my relate. Bro, that's objectively a hilarious thing to tweet, and people are just gonna clown on you more for saying this. Like, just keep silent.
Actually,
Why would you even
a lot of women
bring
are
this up
probably
again?
a lot of women would probably give her sympathy basically off this. Actually.
Okay, yeah. A lot of women are giving her sympathy. All in the comments, deep down, they kind of thinking like, "Yikes, you posted that," and I'm just keeping it real. This is and I'm definitely not trying to shit on her when I say this. I'm just saying this statement, pointing this out here, it's kind of pathetic because it's literally just grasping for attention when you don't even need to bring this up again. It's kind of, I'll say goofy and leave it at that. Yeah, I don't have anything productive to say
I don't
beyond
know
what I
about
already said.
that. I mean, yes, you could say it's like not productive, but I mean not productive in the sense that like the vast majority of the way that people use social media is not productive. They're just getting it off their chest, getting off their heart, getting off their chest.
I guess.
Fair enough. Well, I can say one thing. I definitely believe pretty much everything you just said because you you don't double down on some of those points unless you really mean it. Ace, how about you? What do you think of this interaction? Do you think this is another example in kind of the type of content that Ghost was talking about, where we're trying to be divisive and say men can't be honest with women, or do you think he was low key just being disrespectful?
I think it was a botched reaction, a scuffed statement from the guy. Um, and I think I pretty much agree with Ghost. There's there's like no point, there's no reason why he should have said she didn't look pretty or beautiful. Why he should have said otherwise. And I don't even see it as
Because he's answering our question.
lying. No, 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 no. I don't even see it as lying per se, but I just see it as you're with you're with the you're with your significant other because you find them attractive on some level. So if they ask you, especially, I think it probably is especially true for women, um, but even to some extent, it probably is true for men too. There is a um, there can be a desire for that validation, that reaffirmation, that that your partner is still attracted to you. So if a woman asks you if they're pretty, if they look beautiful, whatever, the general answer to that question, unless it's something super specific, is this shirt, I don't know, um, I don't even know, you might you're probably stepping on eggshells with any questions about appearance with a woman, but um, is it dirty or something
Why should
objectively
someone have to
true?
suck on eggshells in a relationship? Question mark.
Because again, we're talking about a person's a person wanting to feel validated, wanting to feel loved, wanting to feel valued by the other person in their relationship. And undoubtedly, I think anybody can agree that emotions are going to be involved in that. So when I say stepping on eggshells, I'm saying considering that considering that all your partner really wants from an interaction like this is to feel that validation, to feel that they're valued, feel that you're still attracted to them. That is primarily what you should want to put out. Unless you're truly not attracted to this person anymore,
Sounds
again,
But
like
but that's the
bro
thing,
was
and
trying
you
to
go ahead,
say.
Ghost.
So, I was gonna say, it sounds like you was putting out a subliminal message. Not that it was subliminal this time, but
right?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
to be,
I don't necessarily think so. He probably was just being, um, being
he's keeping this
in
stack.
his mind, 100% honest about the way he felt about her appearance at the time. And maybe it is something like he prefers to see her with all the makeup on or whatever, hair done, all this stuff. But again, this
Even if I
like
get on board with
if
what everything that you're saying, the thing is, uh, so now we get into this weird territory of we have to. You're saying you don't have to lie, but you do have to. You don't feel that way. You do have to acquiesce to this desire that people would have for a constant feeling of validation or reaffirmation. Like, there isn't the biggest affirmation that somebody is attracted to you that they are in a relationship with you. What are we talking about?
oh, not necessarily, not at all. People can people can I mean, people obviously stop having that same that uh people fall out of relationships. The attraction does go away. So it's not a
And then they
guarantee that
leave.
just because you're but that's
that's
not a
not how
good
it
thing, or that's not
works.
a you're saying it like it's a fine thing.
What's not fine about it?
What are you talking about? The person obviously they want to be in a relationship. Like we'll say Scarlip
Oh,
and this guy. She wants to be in a relationship. What happened?
We're good. You're good.
Oh, okay. I thought Ghost said something. Actually, I do think Ghost for us. But
It's okay.
she Scarlip wants to be in a relationship with this guy. Like she likes the guy, whatever.
Well, women want to be in a relationship with somebody that is attracted to them and that cares for them and that values them and all that jazz. That's what they want.
Yes. So for like so to say like it's a guarantee that just because the guy is in a relationship with Scarlett, that means that he still is like that confirms that he wants to be or that he is or even if he does want to be that he's still attracted to her. It's not true because relationships end.
You think
And
a guy?
if he
you think a guy would be in a relationship with somebody he's not attracted to?
Yes.
yes. What?
All right.
What do you mean? Quest.
I can objectively say I know this is true, but like,
What do you? Oh, whoa.
It's obvious. It's
Let's
also obvious.
slow down. Let's slow down because this is kind of another topic. But that's no, that's not true. Oh man,
Yes.
What?
It's going to turn.
Yes,
into a
you're
thing.
Quest.
bugging.
Oh,
Okay,
You're-
I'm not
Oh,
even gonna
no.
go into a scenario where a dude
Just in
is-
general, just like
Oh,
in general, you think
no.
absolutely no man is in a relationship with a female he doesn't think is attractive? Like
Yeah.
no man ever?
This sucks.
Quest. Okay.
Salute to Scarlip. I really enjoy your cipher, by the way.
All
All right, fine. All right, let's get let's get into
even if
let's-
what you're saying,
Let's
Quest,
get into
even
it.
if what you're saying
Well,
is
he asked
correct.
me. He asked me a question. Let me just respond. Obviously, there's no 100s and 100% in this universe, but yes, in general, if a man is with a woman, he's attracted to her, and if he's not attracted to her, he will not be in a relationship. That is a general consensus that I stand on. And there's really
okay.
we know that the physical aesthetics of a woman is one of the highest things of value for men. So that's why we can't really. There's not really much to budge on for here. But go ahead.
I agree with that. I generally what you're saying is correct. If that's the case, and she is getting the implication that he is not attracted to her currently, what is she gonna think? That he doesn't want to be in a relationship?
Well,
Do you see the problem here?
Well, if a man says the first thing she asked was, "You find me attractive?" and he said yes, and then he said sometimes. So that still indicates that he's attracted to her. It's still the attraction is still
Or
there.
she could be thinking, like you said, generally men are gonna want to be with, and partners are gonna be with someone that they find attractive. If they do not find that person attractive, there's a good chance that they will want to leave them. If he says that he finds her attractive sometimes, she's maybe thinking he wants to be with me sometimes, not all the time. Not saying that that's
Which is
correct
fair.
or incorrect.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is why she would have a huge problem. Why this is a problem to say, because it implies that he might not want to be with her. If you're following that chain of logic.
So you don't want to be with her sometimes, or not that he doesn't want to be with her sometimes. He just doesn't find her attractive sometimes. Which is fair. What's wrong with a woman or a person having an existence where they are with somebody, but they acknowledge that the person may not be attracted to them 100% of the time?
You just explained it.
It's the way he framed it.
I explained what.
If a man wants to be, if a man is going to leave somebody that he's not attracted to, and he only finds her attractive sometimes, why would he not want to leave her for somebody he finds attractive all the time?
One, that I don't think any man generally believes that, and two, I think also the part of the issue. I don't want to fill out his issue, but y'all are saying it's an issue if the people leave one another, but there's no problem with a man leaving somebody that they're not attracted to or that they lose attraction for. And two, why would a woman want to be with somebody that's not attracted to them? What's the problem?
If she wants to be with him and he doesn't want to be with her, you don't see how she would be upset about that?
No. Why would you want to be somebody that isn't attracted to you?
What? Quest? You're basically, I'm saying, if you love someone and you want to be in a relationship with them and you know that they don't feel the same way about you, you're not going to be upset about that. You're not going to be
No,
hurt by that.
no. Someone doesn't want to move with me. That's reality. That's life. That is what it is. Literally.
Okay. All right. I don't think I have anything else.
I
I mean,
mean,
I guess I'm
you
confused about what the whole point of, or what was the point of bringing up this topic.
yeah, I agree. I don't think we could. I don't think we need to get here either because you guys went down this weird rabbit hole of like one the guy maybe needs to be fully attracted, but also it's a problem that he might not find her attractive all the time.
That isn't
Two.
the point of what I was saying, at least. The point I was making is that there's no need for him to say all of that, implying certain things that he may or may not believe, because there's no point to it.
Oh, there's
And
nothing. There's nothing to imply. He said the entire thing. He said it multiple times.
the implication is what we were just talking about, where he didn't explicitly say, I don't want to be with you all the time, but like we just explored, the implication is there.
Mm, the implication would be validated by the action of them leaving, and if that existed, then that still doesn't really justify that's a problem, because then you just like
Oh yeah,
just
just move on. You know, you love this person, but they don't want to be with you. Just move on. Just it's not a big deal. You'll just immediately
whoa.
lose all the love you have for them after you find out they don't love you back. Just it's not a big deal, right?
Now that's a completely different topic of like love and what that truly means. But it's fine. We, I guess people do have this. People do build bonds with one another. That's true.
99.9% of people, you might be the exception, Quest, but I know for me, if I was with someone and I love them, and I find out that, oh, they don't love me back, I am not going to instantly lose all feelings for them. It is going to be.
No one says it's instant, but at the same time, if you can't like deal with the reality of the situation, then
You can deal with the reality of the situation while still being extremely upset and hurt by it. Like, I do you.
I, it's just that like get into a conversation of like your feelings. Yes, I'm never gonna like dismiss somebody might feel some way about a situation. I'm just talking about like I'm more focused on dealing with the reality situation, and that kind of will like influence like how you approach a situation. Like again, you can feel whatever way you want or you do in your heart or your brain. That doesn't really move the needle on things really.
All
All
right,
right,
I
Quest,
have
what's your
one more
take? Like,
quick.
what is your actual take on the situation?
Uh, Before that, what were you gonna say, Ghost?
So I have one quick question for you. Not to put you on the spot necessarily, but if you were in a similar situation and your wife said that you or that she wasn't attracted to you all the time, and or he didn't want to be with you all the time, would you just immediately cut it off and end the relationship and not have any feelings for her?
This is where I do maybe get a bit like this is maybe the thoughts and expressions of QuestLando, and I don't know if a lot of people would agree with this. Uh, the attractiveness, if we're talking about my physical attraction, because these are once we get into men and women, this gets a completely different you know spaces. If a woman's not physically attracted to me all the way, that doesn't matter to me at all. I think I already am not that attractive. I would say I'm medium ugly or medium handsome, depending on which way you look at the half glass half or if it's half empty. I don't really care about that. If they don't want to be with me, yeah, you just get rid of them. What? Why would that? Why
There's a distinction between get rid of them, as you say, and you're definitely not going to be thrilled to get rid of them, right? Like, there's going to be some level of heartbreak and sadness and
oh, I don't believe in heartbreak. Sorry. No, no, no. But yeah, I think that again, I do acknowledge this is more like a personal thing. I don't like it is what it is. You like you guys know me. I'm so it is what it is. To like death in me. Like I'm very unmoved by a lot of things like this in the universe.
Just
So what is your take?
nonchalant.
Okay, so on this, first of all, salute to Scarlip. I think I said before one of my favorite, the Double XL freshman. And even before some of the moves that they were doing, just generally impressive. I mean, this really, yeah, you guys are always right. I mean, like it's a guy, like whenever like one women are gonna ask the dumb things like, hey, are you still attracted to me or whatever the case it may be. And yeah, for the most part, it's better for the sake of the situation if you truly value that person, to keep it very cordial and be like, yeah, I'm incredibly attracted to you, and keep it at that. Like you don't even have to lie. You just have to yeah. I don't know why he went into a whole thing about like sometimes like what they didn't ask you. Are you attracted to me?
He literally just had to keep his mouth shut after.
Yeah, they didn't ask you. Are you attracted to me 100% of the times, or do you find me attractive 100%? They just like, am I attractive? And the answer is obviously yes, or else it doesn't make sense for you to be with them. Now more of the hot takes, and we don't like to focus on the specifics of the situation, but and I don't even know nothing about this brother, nothing about Scarlett personally, but Scarlett, if you're listening, if this reaches your ears, one thing you gotta remember is you were just a double XL freshman. You already have major motion. A lot of the artists from New York have given you love. Like you're on your way up. And this is looking like from outside perspective a situation where you're on your way up and you've been with homeboy since you were kind of like in the mud, and you're really hanging on to the love. I think I know where I'm going with this. The more you go up, and the more this brother stays whatever level he's staying, because he's obviously not like, he's not somebody. If he was a somebody, then the headline would be, big rapper and such says this about his significant other, Scarlett, but the story is only about you. Basically, women, and this applies to any woman that's on their way to success or is already successful. It sucks, and I understand people have feelings. You might need to start planning your exit strategy so you don't get trapped by this ninja. And then you live in a life where you're trying to be a literal king or queen in New York, whatever you want to, whatever nomenclature you want to hold on to, and then you have this guy in the background making you look bad. So
Based off of one video. Not that I disagree with you.
It's not necessarily the video in itself. Again, I don't really care. The guy just should just like stay quiet. It's the dynamic. Like the fact that now you're posting this stuff, the fact that you're even in an environment where the world's giving you sympathy, it's just you don't need it. Like, and I'm not saying like break up with them, because obviously there is probably love and attraction there, and they probably provide some level of value to her, support. But I'm just saying, get ready. Cause just get ready. I know people in relationships, it feels bad to think about. You never want to live in a world where you're thinking about what it's like without the other person. We don't know how long they've been. They might be high school sweethearts, but we know your trajectory. We don't even know this brother's face. So just get ready. And I thought I had another point, but that's really my major takeaway. Yeah, get ready. It's happened a million times. There was another relatively famous female artist. It happened to somewhat recently too. Slipped my mind. But yeah, if you're a woman and you're about to get some success, and you with your old sugar, your old sweetheart, your old boo, and he's not already surpassing you, just get ready. That's all I'm telling you. But yeah, I think that was my main takeaway, my main hot take. Yeah.
Cool.
That's crazy.
Damn, I really thought I had another point too. If it comes up, I'll double back. But yeah, so it's Scarlett. Yeah, the moral of the story is I don't subscribe to lying. I don't know. Maybe something like Ghost does a little time, and maybe Ace, but I don't subscribe to lying. But obviously, you do have to be mindful of, if you do care about somebody, you have to be mindful of their feelings. And I think there's 1,000,001.
I don't know what you're talking about. You just
1,000,001 ways to do that. I don't know why you're interrupting me. 1,000,001 ways to do that without lying. Thank you. Thank you.
You just said the same thing, but now you're gonna say, "Oh, maybe Ghost and Ace lie, or subscribe to lying." But
Oh, that's why you tried.
I
to
don't.
come in, because
you try to throw us under the bus at the end. Real
all
quick.
I'm all right.
I don't care about the throwing under the bus thing, but
Okay.
I'm gonna bring y'all back years and years ago. Not years and years ago, but this is a topic we had a couple of years ago. Remember when you brought that quote Quest with that woman who was talking about how the men would lie for their jobs and managers, and then when they brought it home,
damn, what was that?
I gotta look.
They were talking to James Baldwin, not James Baldwin. Who were they talking to?
That sounds kind of right.
I know exactly. It was that sister that was talking about, you go out and lie to the white man, but you come home and you show me your true self.
Yeah, damn. I can't remember who it was, but I recall your opinion was a little different back then. Just throwing that out there. Throwing that out there.
Yikes. I'm gonna plead the fifth for the first time, because that might be a class A. You got me right-handed. If nothing else, let's move on to the next topic.
Okay. Nikki Giovanni and James Baldwin. Good memory.
Yikes. Yeah, I might have to include that clip at the end of this video now. Do a little editing. Okay. So last topic, I don't think it's really that much of a topic, but in case you missed, the Cartoon Network website shuts down. Warner Brothers Discovery kicks visitors over to Max. So in case you missed it, Cartoon Network, and there was kind of rumblings of this happening, pardon me, a little while ago, that Cartoon Network was just kind of shutting down in general. Scroll down a bit, but yeah, it really is seeming like they're making moves to like axe the network, and it's like how you would typically have interacted with the channel. Cartoon Network has been scrubbed from the web. Warner Brothers Discovery this week pulled the entire contents of CartoonNetwork.com offline, redirecting visitors to a landing page on Max, which is basically HBO. It's a subscription streaming service encouraging fans to sign up to watch their favorite Cartoon Network shows. The shuttering of the site appeared to have happened Thursday, August 8th. So like literally recent, like a couple days ago at the time of recording. Looking for episodes of your favorite Cartoon Network shows? Check out what's available on the stream on Max. Subscription required. A pop-up message says on the new Max landing page, sign up for Max, where you can also create a kid's profile with ratings, restrictions, and additional privacies. Anyway, basically they redirect you to Max. So basically, buy our product. But more so than the fact that it's paywalling and putting all its content behind the streaming service, I think a lot of people look at this and it's like kind of sad in a sense, because like a lot of people, especially that would consume this type of content, grew up on Cartoon Network and all like the shows, Dexter's Lab, Power of Girls, Giant Bravo, Courage Cowardly Dog, a lot of bangers. Ed, Edd n Eddy, I think a lot of people like that one too. And yeah, even though the shows are still accessible, some of them, I think I saw there was another article. I think I might also mention that article about how like some of the Boomerang related shows, those are like really, really going to be hard to find, because those are pretty much like axed out. Then I don't think a lot of them are going to be they're not readily available they're not just going to be imported onto Max. But you'll obviously be able to find them somewhere if you really want them. But in general, it's just going to be harder to get to your favorite, your favorite classic cartoons. And also, this just says they're moving over like the shows. If anyone knows anything about CartoonNetwork.com, you remember, at least back in my day, that CartoonNetwork.com was where you went and played the games.
Real
That was
ones know those
that was
flash games, bro.
exactly that's where you went for the man.
Real ones know.
Between the Boy and Girl Club, this is just my personal experience. Between the Boy and Girl Club and at school, depending on what school you were and whether you had you have to bypass the firewall, I think, to be able to get to some of these sites to play the games. Yeah, we definitely put in a lot of hours on these sites, and yeah, that obviously you might be able to access some like Wayback Machine if that's how that works and get access to some of these games features and things that you might have experienced in your past. But fundamentally, it's just going to be way harder to access some of these things. And I guess the only question that comes from this, because it's more like just news, but um, do you guys do you guys think you would be affected in any capacity with the fact that you won't be able to like one experience these things when you're older and or showcase things that you grew up on and enjoyed when you were young onto like children and like the younger folks, that respective generation? Like does that affect you at all? I guess. What do you think, Ace?
Does not really affect me in the slightest that I can think of. I don't really
You don't want to be able to show.
think
You don't
it's
want to
a
be able to show
problem.
kids like 30 years from now what you grew up on, the classics.
I don't think so. I mean, maybe I will in the future, but right now it doesn't really concern me. Um,
And you think
I don't know.
anything
I
that's
feel like
I was just gonna say, do you think that's true for like most
Oh,
of the
go
things
ahead.
that you grew up on? Like whether it be like some of the old games, some of the old like shows that you consumed when you were a kid. You think like kids? You think you wouldn't be interested in showing kids in general any of that stuff? Or sharing it with
I
them?
mean, I guess maybe with games, like if it's something that I think I don't know. I think it would only matter for things that I still think are good, like games that I still think are good. Going back onto Network's website and playing like I'm trying to think of the games I remember.
Did you guys
His
play
name was Disney.
the Teen Titans fighting game?
I don't think so.
Damn,
Well, what
that
kind of fighting game was it? Like
it's
a
just
two,
literally
like
it was literally like a
a
two
one v
D.
one.
Yeah, it's like literally just a 2D
Oh,
like fighting game, like Teen
I
Titans
don't think
versus the villains.
I don't think I played
mm.
that. I played more of the
Yeah.
big games, to be honest. But
Mm.
That's cool and all, but
continue on the
no, I don't. The more I think about it, the more the less I really think I care
Which is fair.
because I think it's because like with our parents, there's stuff that they like. Okay, my dad in particular, he's from Jamaica. There are certain things that he'll talk about that you know I just I can only imagine and visualize in my head as far as like just things he did as a kid, like the things he used to do as a kid for fun, things like that. Like I can only imagine it, and it's not. I don't feel like I am losing out per se because I can't really see like uh, even where he lived um or yeah, like envision actually what it must have been like to be a kid in Jamaica in the 70s. Like I don't think I'm losing out because of that. It's I still get the value of him being able to tell me about these things and imagine it, and that's it. Like I know I know these things through what he's told me about them. So for kids like as I get older, for my potential children, nieces, nephews, things like that, I don't think I have any huge need to be able to show them the things that I I had when I was young. We tell them about it, tell them about what it was like um when the internet was like literally new, and like what it was like to interact with it as a kid. Like we can tell them about it. Like I don't feel the need to show them, and they probably won't even have the, I wouldn't say capacity, but like they definitely, not all of them, not all kids are gonna have the desire to interact with the stuff that or play the games that you used to play or whatever. Um, and they also don't have the context, like the cultural context either. So it's not gonna have the same effect either way. So I don't have any. I don't think I have any huge desire to be able to do that.
Yeah, I actually do see your point. And it seems like you're kind of mainly saying, based off your experience of the fact that you were able to, as a kid, like hear stories and still maybe not get the same level of appreciation or value from what your parents were like putting you on. You don't think that you'll, it's just not really in you to kind of change up that dynamic. You'll probably be more of a storyteller,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
completely
yeah.
fair. Very fair. How about you, Ghost? Are you affected by the fact that are you affected by the effect? Are you affected by the fact that you might not be able to share the things that you grew up on with later generations?
Um, I'd say yeah, to some extent I am. Like like this Cartoon Network website, it's like whatever, because again, like the games were cool, but I don't think there was anything huge I was missing out on. But certain things that I do remember greatly enjoying as a kid, particularly books, which I don't think that same fear of missing out or fear that my kids would be missing out is there. But I remember a ton of book series that I loved as a kid, and I'm definitely planning on showing my kids and having them read it. Same thing with some certain TV shows. And I think if like they became locked behind some subscription services or paywall, just not accessible, of course, I mean, y'all know what I would do to find these things. But
Jesus.
if I wasn't able to, then yeah, I think it would be upsetting in some capacity, because it's like that was like those were great childhood uh memories and content that I consumed. Like I still remember multiple book series that were like top tier, and I can't imagine not showing my kid at some point and having them read it. So yeah, I think it would impact me in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I can. I feel as if I definitely relate. I would want the ability to show some of the things that I truly valued growing up, cherished growing up, show that to the new generation at that time. Although I will say a big component, and like a big thing you brought up, Ace, is the fact that some of these things are um, significant, significant because of the time, place, and culture. Like I think there could be very well things that we show to like different generations, and it's just like even if that thing is peak, whatever the term will be at that time, even if that thing has a lot of aura, or even if that thing is hitting, slapping, whatever, it's just not going to hit the same way it affected us because it culture and time is just so hard to explain. Like one of the biggest things I would say, like when I think the '90s, as far as like if I had to like draw a picture of the '90s, and maybe this is different for everybody else, I would draw Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, and what's the brother's name from Home Alone? Macaulay McCartan, or something like that.
Culkin.
Culkin. There you go. My apologies, brother. That I would draw those because that's what I think of when I think of the '90s. But like you show Michael Jordan to kids these days, unless it's on the back of a sneaker, or like that's not really gonna hit. Michael Jackson, they might know Thriller, maybe. Home Alone. No, I don't. My mom just let me be home alone. So why would I watch a movie for it? So these things aren't gonna hit the same. It just is what it is. But I mean, there's always that one thing. I think we can relate to. There's always that one or two things that are before our time that we like latched on. I'm assuming maybe for some people that's not the case, but there's something that's from a different time that we did uh, attach ourselves to. But it's just different from everybody else. It's different for everybody, I should say. But yeah, if you wanted to go back and kind of consume some of the old content, it's not readily available. Although I'm sure whenever these things come about, there is somebody creates like a archive of like everything. So there's probably somebody making a super great YouTube documentary on all the things that you used to be able to go on and consume on these type of websites. But I digress. Yeah, so it's Cartoon Network. If nothing else, we can move on. And I believe that's it for topics. Now we just have a couple things to get off our chests. We can wrap the podcast up. So in case you missed it, super unfortunate. Um, oh yeah, I was about to say, I think the first part of the headline is a bit outdated. Bodies of pilot and co-pilot of Voipass aircraft that plunged into the ground, killing 62 on board identified. Yeah, there was an unfortunate aircraft crash in Brazil recently, and it killed all 62 on board. Super super tragic, super unfortunate. Rip to all the folks that were on board. It's always crazy in this day and age that we have aircraft crashes. It seems like obviously there can always be a malfunction, but it seems like in this day and age, I mean it's not frequent, not to scare people from flying, but you think it would happen like literally like once every 2 years or something like that. But yeah, super unfortunate. And then pull up that one last link. I don't know if actually y'all did hear about this. Former CEO Susan, well, Wojcicki, dead at 58. Damn, they were so really young, relatively young. Months after her son died of overdose in California dorm. So you may not know this person, but they probably in some shape or form impacted the way you consume content. They were the former CEO at YouTube, and definitely for a lot of the time that it's kind of weird to kind of describe someone's relationship with YouTube, but a lot of it, like when I would hear content creators talking about either grievances or their what's the opposite of grievances? What they enjoy about YouTube, they would always bring up if they're like really in the business of it, they would bring up this sister. So yeah, super unfortunate news to hear, and they were still relatively young, and it was like it says, it was relatively close timing after their son passed. So this family's just been dealing with it a lot, and that's super super unfortunate. A lot of condolences. Definitely rest in power to her, and again condolences to the family. But yeah, I think that's enough said news for the time being. I guess we can keep moving forward. Before we wrap this thing up, is there anything that we have to look forward to? You know what they say about having something to look forward to? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I feel like I had something, but I can't remember.
Jesus
So I
Christ.
guess it wasn't that worth it.
Yeah, bro. Well, I guess I'll
I've
just
been
say
playing more ping pong,
ping pong.
so looking forward to more of that, I guess. I
Playing
put
at
topspin on a ping pong ball for the first time last week. It was cool.
you playing at Andre's place, or you doing anything?
Yeah, just at
I don't know
Andre's
if they
place.
have any wordplay around you, but
Not that I know of.
Nothing wrong with being hyped about getting better at something and doing it with your homies. For myself, I'm following in your lead, Ghost. Yeah, I think you want to watch it. Go and have a little movie date night, and go see the Wolverine and Deadpool movie. I think. Yeah, I think that's what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Even though, oof, maybe I should maybe I should save everything I think into before I go and watch that. I'm looking forward to it. That's what I'm looking forward to. And we hope that everybody out there has something to look forward to. If you have something to look forward to, that's all you need to, not all you need to be happy, but that's essentially what true happiness is. Something to look forward to. But yeah, if there's nothing else, let me go to this screen. Let me do this first, and I'll put this on. And now I'll come over here, and then I'll come back here. Nice. All right, so speaking of scuffed, that's kind of like the word of tonight. This podcast will get scuffed. Not all the facilities working. It was kind of people going in and out, and not everyone's camera was on. But we still was able to make it. I feel as if once we start streaming and recording, like a lot of the technical difficulties that we're dealing with before and after, even if somebody goes out for a second, nothing like complete like the total thing doesn't just crash. Like OBS doesn't just crash on us. So gotta be thankful for the little things. And yeah, we were able to get to the topics, and we're able to keep putting out content, which is dope. Yeah, so I got no real complaints. So, and I thank y'all for coming out here and doing this podcast thing and really working with what we got, which ain't much, but we still get it done. And we give many thanks and great appreciation to any and all listeners. We greatly appreciate y'all. Salute to everybody that taps into the videos, even if you just watch the videos for a couple minutes. We try to post daily, even if you just watch it for a couple minutes, couple seconds. Throw a like on it, throw a subscribe, leave a comment if you think the topic's interesting or we're entertaining, which I know you don't, but thank you anyway. Yeah, we definitely hope that by listening to us that you gain a perspective, or that you learn something new, like the fact that if you are a millennial and you don't consume a lot of drugs, you may or may not have been brainwashed by Dare. You never know. Or we just hope that you found us entertaining. And if none of that happened for you, all we have to say to you is be warned and be filled. All right, stop recording. And then